Hey listeners, David Auger here at MetalDave01 on Twitter, and I am here recording a video to explain how the Habby Hour podcast gets recorded, edited, and uploaded to SoundCloud. I suppose the way to start things off would be how I do my half of everything. So let's get started with that. Right here is my microphone. It is a Spark Blue microphone, and it's used primarily for like vocal stuff, but it just didn't work out that way. I used to record music and whatnot, and this is why I have it in the first place. But I got this Spark Blue microphone from Guitar Center many years ago, and I think around the time it was around 200 US dollars, so kind of pricey at the time, but not, hopefully today it's not as pricey. Regardless, I go from the microphone, goes from an XLR cable into a soundboard, which is on the ground here. So let me just pick that up. There we go. Yeah, this soundboard right here. It is a Bose T1 tone match soundboard. And these bad boys came with those Bose tower speakers that they sell, or I think they still sell now, but back in the day, these things used to come with them, and it's really nice. Has a bunch of inputs, and of course I only use the one input for my voice, and pretty much that's all I really use it for. So, to put it all together, it goes from microphone to the XLR cable out into the soundboard here, and then from the soundboard, it's a USB cable from the soundboard to my computer, and that's how I'm recording my voice right now, and for all the podcasts. So, one may ask, well, Dave, how do you get the ladies' voices on? And that was the main rub when we were putting this all together, back in March when we first started. So I'm going to switch up the recording now to show my desktop. Give me 1 second. And I think that worked. So this is the desktop on my home computer that I use to, record and do everything. So, okay, how do I get the rest of the girls on the podcast? And that's through Skype. We just use Skype to speak to each other, and that's what that's how I record our Skype session. So how do you use Skype? Well, let's get into it. I have it already set up right here, and this is, the Skype interface nowadays. And pretty much what I do is that you go to calls. I already have a group set up right here that has everybody's name in it, Beth, Ashley, and Veronica. You have your group set up, and then you hit audio call, click that, and it calls everyone right there, and then we'll all be in one Skype call talking about everything. Now, from an audio perspective, somebody might ask, well, how do you level everyone's voices? And honestly, I can't. It's a little bit of a pain. Well, it's a complete pain because it's impossible to do. You can't really individually alter people's volumes on Skype. It's just, whatever they're using to get their voice, that's it, which is unfortunate. But in regards to the podcast, it's worked, pretty well so far. On their end, for the girls, they all just use either iPhones or iPads, and the only difference is that I think Veronica actually does have a microphone that she plugs into her iPad. I think she uses an iPad or a laptop. Either way, it's all Apple stuff regardless, the $1 trillion company that we have nowadays. But yeah, that's all that they use. I'm the one that actually has the microphone and the soundboard, but it's easy for them because they can just, use a phone or an iPad or whatever the heck they want to use. And that's pretty much it. So that's how we all get together to talk. How do I record it? This is going to be a little difficult to put on video, but I'm going to try. I use something called Open Broadcast Software, and its short term is, its shorthand name is OBS software. And I'm just going to drag it from one monitor to the other, and here it is. So it's recording right now, essentially. And what OBS is primarily used for is for gaming. People that broadcast their gaming on Twitch, this is the software that they use to do it. I do the same thing. I've used OBS to record games. You can see the list over here in the scenes of all the games that I do use. and play and whatnot. And that's the reason why I have it. I've used it for game streams and whatnot. Now, how do I use it to record our Skype conversations? Well, it's not actually all that much of a crazy thing to do. What you have to do is that you have the scenes over here, and you have to create a new scene to do that. So in order to do that, you have your scenes there. You have to right click on an empty little spot right down here, just a empty thing there. Right click it, hit add scene, name your scene, and then click OK. I'm not going to click OK because I think it's going to mess up the recording, so I'm just going to hit cancel, and we're just going to pretend that scene, the highlighted one here, is our scene 2 that we just made. So again, we have to pretend. When we make a new scene, the sources panel here would be blank, so we have to add one. So we would right click again, add, and you can add whatever you want here. So if you want to add a video capture device, that's how I'm doing my webcam capture right now on the video. If you want to capture a monitor, which is the other part of what I'm doing now, you would select that. So I'm just going to select that right now just to give an example. So monitor capture, name it, okay. And then you have a bunch of other options, but the only option that really matters is capturing mouse cursor, which, I'm doing so you can see, what I'm, messing around with, and what monitor number you want to do, 1 or 2. 1's the main one, so I select that, hit OK, and it adds it to the source screen. So right now, what's going on with OBS is that it's doubling up on monitor capture and this lessons, which is monitor capture as well. I just named it lessons. So it's doubling up on that, so it's kind of useless. So I'm just going to remove that right now and leave it as is. So the thing is, when you do start recording though, it just pretty much starts recording everything that's on the computer. So what's going on the computer when we're doing our Skype call for the podcast? Our audio. So what's going on is that it's recording video, but it's also getting the audio, and that's going to lead into this next step here. So let me just move the OBS out and just reiterate that OBS is what I use to record our audio. So when we finish a podcast, I hit stop recording and it creates a video file. OBS creates a video file, and I have a test one, oops, right here, yes, test stream right here. So it creates something like this. This test stream file is an MP4 file, which is a video file. Now, of course, I can upload a video file to SoundCloud, but it would be huge. It would be a massive thing because it has all a bunch of, not just the audio going on, it has, of course, the video, like I've been saying. So I use another piece of software to take care of that, and it is called VLC Media Player. For those of you that are not familiar with VLC, it is an old piece of software that people used to use to play video files that they would torrent, for instance. Those video files would have a bunch of weird file extensions that normal video players can't play, but a video player that can play it would be VLC. Now, of course, I'm not using VLC as it's intended, because VLC, on top of being a great video player, it's also an amazing file converter. So I'm going to show you how that works right now. I go to Media, Convert Save, and then this window pops up. I click Add, search for our test stream, hit open, and then there it is. It gets added to this batch of stuff that you want to work with. Once it's on there, I want to hit convert save, and then you get a bunch of other options. So I want to convert into an audio MP3, which is exactly what we want, and then I want to save it. Now to do that though, VLC does this weird thing where you have to browse and select where you want to put it. So I'm going to name it Test Podcast. Why not? Hit save and then start. And oh wow, if you saw for a second there was that little blue blip there. And pretty much it's already created our audio file and it spit it out right over here. Test Podcast. So this test podcast is actually the audio file that I would edit. Now, how do I edit things? This comes into the next part of the recording. So let me move this out of the way and open up Reaper. Reaper is what people call a DAW, DAW, which is a digital audio workshop. Digital audio workshops, like a more popular one would be something like Pro Tools. That's a big name thing that professional musicians use to record their music. Reaper is super cheap. It is $50. Oh yeah, by the way, OBS is free and VLC is free. But Reaper is like I said, it's like $50 American, and it is a great engineering tool for audio. What we're seeing right here is actually a finished product. This is episode 6 of season 2, which was recorded August 1st, 2nd? Yeah, August 2nd it was recorded, and this is the final product. But what I'm going to do right now is just show you how to put something together with Reaper, and it's gonna be really quick though. I'm going to kind of fly through it. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do a Control N just to have a blank template, and I'm actually, oh yeah, let me kill the webcam just so you can see Reaper by itself. In order to get the test podcast file on there, the audio one that we created, I'm clicking off screen now, clicking and dragging it on here, and you can see that Reaper's already sensing it, so you want to drop it wherever you want it to. So I'm just going to drop it here. And of course it doesn't look all that impressive because I think the audio was muted, but this is something that I would do. So this would be something, this would be the audio from a podcast, and then I want to add music. So I want to say like add the Habby Hour theme song from the Partridge Family. Click and drag because I have that open off screen just to help out with this stuff. And you can see this is more interesting looking because it actually has audio on it. And I will do all my edits, like split this, move it over here, and do some other things. And then when you actually play it, it'll do something. So it's gonna be a little quiet for now until the actual music starts, and you can listen to your product through Reaper. Hello world, here's a song that and I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to X that out, save project for closing, no, because I didn't do anything, and bring my webcam back up. Actually, let me switch over to the other webcam. There we go. And that's pretty much it. I create that, make it into an audio file that's spit out by Reaper through a render process, and then I go into SoundCloud, and I go into SoundCloud and upload, choose the file I want to upload, and upload it. And that's I think that's pretty much the entire process from step 0 to whatever it was 8 or 9 that we did, and that's it. I hope that was what's the word for it? What do I want to use? Not entirely sure. Oh, okay. I hope that was informative, and that if you ever want to start a podcast, that's one way to do it. There are tons of different ways to do this sort of thing, and probably easier ways to do it, since most people that do podcasts aren't spread out across an entire continent. But that's just how we at Habby Hour do it, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good one, guys. Go Habs, go.